Go ahead.
Yes, we're taking the Mentor 7 pre-Mentor 7 course. With them, they're saying with the root cause of life, it originates within me. Is that the
Yeah,
same?
you can say that. Yeah, the root cause of life originate within me. Okay. They like to use that verbiage. We can do
Okay.
that.
Means the same thing then.
Yeah, the root cause of life originate within me. The root cause of life begin with me. I sometimes I feel like, longer words, shorter words begin with me, originate within me. That's fine too.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And they still use mentation, but I know you like using attitude.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and it's still evolving. Okay.
Yeah.
Every time I share, this is like, the third season in the weekly one, and then the third 24-hour, and it's still evolving. In fact, I'm about to share with you the root cause of life from the religious and religion and spirituality perspective, and it's gonna be some new words too. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, let's see. So earlier we talked about the root cause of life from the perspective of the scientific method. Okay, we begin with the end in mind, and we reconstructed the outcome of life um, from the choices. Okay, um, and now we are going to take a look at the root cause of our life. It still would originate from within us, but we're going to look at it from a religious perspective, spirituality perspective. Okay, there will be elements of Zen Buddhism. There will be elements of Christianity. Okay, because that's what I know. Okay, um, so we're going to see, where our outcome in life came from the religion and spirituality perspective. Okay, so let's see. Let's start with a quote from the Bible. Okay, there's a quote from the Bible, the Christian Bible, that says, "You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." Okay, the quote from the Bible. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Would you agree that to be set free is something worth seeking? Freedom from suffering, for instance. Okay, that is what the Buddha did. Okay, he came to the realization that human life was suffering, and then there has got to be a way to be free from suffering. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. If you already have a religious understanding from a Christian perspective, and you already studied about Jesus Christ and all that stuff, and that's fine. Okay, all of that is still true, but we're going to apply a Zen Buddhist perspective to this statement and see if at this moment we can come to understanding what truth is and how it will set us free. Okay. Um, the Zen Buddhists also offer the idea of truth. Truth is something that does not change over time and space. Okay, so this is idea that truth is something that does not change over time and space. If it changed, then it's not the truth. It's just some relativism. When we look at the pen and the identity of the pen changes from one person to another person, that's not the truth. That's just perspective, right? When a person goes into a courtroom in the legal system, you go to a courtroom and the judge asks the person to raise their hand and swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And the person say, I do. And the person would tell the truth about an event that happened. And when the judge calls another witness to come in, the judge will ask, tell the truth. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? That person also swears, I do. And they will tell the truth. But when you compare two truths against each other, it's different. A person's story is not the truth. A person's story is just a story. It is based on our own preconceived notion, our own understanding about something, okay? It's often tied to our identity and all that. And so that's not the truth. It's just a story. So what is the truth? And what is it that will set us free? Okay, what is it about human being that does not change over space and time? Okay, so take a step back and take a look at human life. In reality, do we always try to attach ourselves to something that has a way of changing? Our body, our health, our financial situation, even our spouse. Do those things change over time? Yeah, they change. And because they change, we cannot say those are the truth. Okay. Our body will change over time. Our house will change. Even our spouse, they change from day to day. What about love? Is there such a thing as true love? From this definition, truth is something that does not change over space and time. Then you can say that there's no such thing as true love, because love changes. You love your girlfriend and boyfriend one way, and when you get married, you love them differently. And then when you have children together, you love that same person differently. So our love change, and we hope it change for the better. Okay, we hope that our love will grow over time. We'll talk about harmonious marriage tomorrow. Okay, so love does change, and we cannot say there's such a thing as true love. There is things like unconditional love. There's conditional love. There's unconditional love. We'll talk about magnanimity as a form of unconditional love a little later. There's a eternal love, love that keep on expanding and giving. But from the definition that the truth is something that does not change over space and time. And why would we want to attach ourselves to something that does not change over space and time? Well, if we attach ourselves to something that changes over space and time, then we can never really know where to go because our compass keep on changing. Right? A sailor at sea will want to rely on the compass, and the compass always point north, letting them know that that is the right way to go. And so using that standard, he was able to navigate the sea. If we attach ourselves to the things that constantly change, then how can we navigate the sea of life? That is why we are always experiencing pain and suffering, because we are always looking for things that constantly change. We may look for our spouse, and for a time, our spouse may give us some sense of happiness and peace, but when they change, or when they leave, or when they die, we lose that happiness, that peace. People who look forward to money to make them happy. They get money and they feel happy, but when their money change or they lose it, then they lose the happiness associated with money. right? People attach themselves to things like fame, fortune. But when those things change, then we also lose the health and the happiness and the whatever that is associated with that, because it changed. And so therefore our health and our happiness also change. But there is a promise that you will know the truth and the truth will set you free. And the truth is something that does not change over time. And if we can discover it, attach ourselves to it, and if we can derive our health, our happiness, our peace from that truth, the truth that does not change, then can you see that our health and our happiness and our peace can be more enduring, right? Less likely to change if that truth is something that does not change. So there's a story that our master liked to teach, to share. It says that a long time ago, okay, this is just a story. The human beings and the demons used to live together in the same world. Human beings and demons used to live together. And because human beings and demons are so different, we get into conflict, we fight, and human being won the war with the demons. Human being, we decided to kick the demon out of the human world. We banished them. But before leaving the human world, the demon got together and came up with one last act of revenge. They say, let us find the most precious things that human beings, which is the truth within them, and hide it. And because if we can if we can steal this thing that makes human being happy, they will never be happy, okay? And we're going to hide it. One demon said, let's hide it at the highest mountain of the Himalayas. And then the demon said, no, human beings, one day they will climb the Himalayas and they will find that most precious treasure. And the demon said, let us hide it in the deepest of the jungles. And the demon said, no, human beings, one day they will clear the jungle and they will find that most precious treasure, even if we hide it. A third demon said, let us hide that treasure deep inside under the ocean. And another demon said, no, human beings will eventually build boats and ships and submarines, and they will dive down and they will find whatever treasure it is that we hide deep in the ocean. Finally, a very wise demon said, let us steal this most precious treasure from human beings, which is the truth within themselves, and hide it so deep inside them that they will never be able to find it. Why? Because humans have this tendency to look outside of themselves for the things that will set them free. Human beings have the way of looking outside of ourselves for the thing that will give us happiness. We look outside of ourselves for the thing that will give us peace. We look outside of ourselves for things that will give us health, okay, even physical health. And therefore, if we hide this most precious treasure, which is the truth, deep within the human being, they will never be happy. And that is why for the last tens and tens of thousands of years, human beings have been suffering pain and disappointment because we have not discovered the truth. Fortunately, we have sages, we have enlightened beings, we have Jesus Christ, we have the Buddha, who point us the way to find the truth that will set us free. It is something that does not change over space and time. And once we discover it, we will be free from suffering. We will find peace, we will find happiness, and we will even find health. Okay, so what is this truth and where is it?
But if somebody doesn't believe religion and none of those,
Good. Yeah, good idea. They don't have to believe. Watch this. Obviously, you can believe it or not. For those people, just go to the root cause of life formula. That's more like a scientific approach. But for the people who are more religious and more spiritual, this interaction is going to come a little bit more simple for them. Okay, that's why we begin with the scientific approach, because nowadays, with the way society is run, science is dominating the discussion, and so we use the scientific approach. But let's see if we can actually help some scientific people understand as well. Okay, with the following. Okay, I invite you to draw with me. Okay, it's important. It's going to help you discover this truth. Simple question is, do you really want to be free? You can ask a non-religious person, do you want to be free from suffering? If somebody points you the way to be free from suffering, would you be interested? If they're not interested, okay, fine. You can go on your way. But if you're interested in being free from suffering, then let's take a look and see where where we're going. Deep inside all of us, there is the will. Okay? As human beings, okay, this is a human being, we have the will to hear. We have the will to see. We have the will to speak. We have the will to know. And this sharing is called the human construct. Okay, this is how human beings are constructed together. It is also can be referred to as a human energy structure. We'll talk a lot about energy, human energy structure. It is a map. It is a map pointing to a treasure. It is a treasure map. Right? In those movies, the pirates movie, if a pirate want to find treasure, they need a map. And a map will point them to the treasure. Well, guess what? This is the most precious thing that human beings have. It is our most precious treasure. And this is going to be our map pointing to that treasure. That treasure will give us true freedom, will give us peace, will give us health, will give us happiness. So to a scientific person who are not interested in religion, are you interested in being happy? You can tell them, right? Are they interested in being healthy? Would they be interested in inner peace? Okay, those are the questions we can ask a person who is started out with the scientific, sort of leaning. So here's the deep inside all of us, there's the will to hear, the will to see, the will to speak, and the will to know. All of that is wrapped up in a aura of highly energy light. Okay, we can say aura of light. High energy, highly balanced, high vibration light. Now the will to hear and the will to see, that is something that does not change over space or time. Right, we said earlier, you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. And the truth is something that does not change over space and time. We have the will to hear and the will to see. Let's just work with those two. from a scientific perspective, from a biological perspective, when a fetus is in the mother's womb, even before it is born, as long as it have eyes and has have ears, it begin to hear and it begin to see. They teach mother to stimulate the sensory organ of the baby by shining flashlight on her belly. When my wife was pregnant, we went to those pregnancy classes and they say, hey, you can stimulate, you can help your baby start interacting by shining a flashlight on your belly. He'll see, he can see the light. And they can hear sound. Okay, little babies, even when before they're born, they can hear and they can see. But even if there is no sound, we can still hear no sound. Think about that. If there is sound, we hear sound. If there's no sound, we hear no sound. It is not the sound that create the hearing. It is the hearing that brings about the hearing. Which is different than, let's say, a radio receptor. A radar require some sound wave in there to pick up a signal. But human beings, we hear. It is the act of hearing. It is the will to hear that is always there. It is the already always hearing. If there's sound, we can hear some sound. If there is light, then we can see the thing that is reflected by light. But even if there is no thing, we can still see no thing. This is what it means to be human. We have the already always hearing and the already always seeing, which is different from seeing what or seeing something. Seeing something, hearing something is an object. That is a sensory perception, but it's the hearing and the seeing that makes us human. Do you get that? It isn't. It is not. It is not something that machine can do. Machine requires some sensory, some processing. But it is for human being. We have this hearing and seeing that is always there, even before we're born. And after born, okay, let's say after born, we open our eye, we see light. That is just something that we see. We hear sound. That is something that we hear. But even if we lose our eyesight, if we lose our auditory senses, we can still hear. We simply hear no sound, or we see no thing, no light. When we go to sleep, we see. We close our eye, but we see. All right, that's like dreaming. Some people can hear hear in the sleep. I think my sleep. I don't know if I can hear in my sleep. And when a baby begins to speak, right, they can utter word, we speak. But even if a person loses the oratory organ, the tongue or whatever, we still speak to ourselves in our head, right? We're always saying things to ourselves. That is part of our thinking. And when we begin to know, we cannot stop knowing. We cannot unknow anything. Even if we forget things, we are always knowing. It is awareness, it is perception. We are always knowing. The will to hear, the will to see, the will to speak, the will to know is always there. It is not the tangible thing of the physical world. It is something that has to do with our being as a human being, which separates us from animals and machines. Right? And AI, when you turn it off, it no longer hear or see or know or speak. But human being, all of this is going on all the time. And if we take the religious perspective, if this body disintegrate, right, we die, we no longer have ear, we no longer have eye, we no longer have tongue, we no longer have a brain, yet something continue, right? In Christianity, it's called the soul. right? How do we go to heaven without a body? Something persists that allow us to hear, to see heaven, to know, and to speak to God. Okay? And it's very simple. The will to hear, the will to see, the will to speak, the will to know is the truth within us. So it is a vocabulary, a new vocabulary that we are going to refer to whenever we refer to this part inside of us as the truth within us. We also call it the true nature. It is related to the truth. It is also called the Buddha nature, if you are the Buddhist. Okay, the true nature. And if you will, you can call it the God nature. You know why? Because in the Bible, if you look at the Bible, I think in the first line of Bible according to John, in the beginning, there was the Logos. This is a Greek word, Logos. The Bible of John was written in Greek. The word is Logos. English translator translated to the word. In the beginning, there was the word. And the word was with God, the word was God, but the original word is the Logos. And the meaning, the implication of the meaning Logos is greater than word. It is the will. Okay? What they are referring to is the will of God, the intention. In the beginning, there was the intention. In the beginning, there was the will of God. There was the intention. The intention was with God. The intention was God. In the beginning, there was the will. Human beings, we have the will. And guess what happened next? And you take Genesis, and God spoke. Okay? God said, let there be light. And there was light. God spoke. God speak, the will to speak. That will expresses itself, that will speaks. Let there be light. And there was light. Scientists call it the Big Bang. Okay, the moment the universe begins, there's an explosion of light that give rise to time and space and later on planets and then people. But the Bible said, God spoke, let there be light. It is the will of God that speaks, let there be light. What turns out, the Zen Buddhists also have the same idea. This model is come from the Zen Buddhist model. There's the will to hear, the will to see, the will to speak, the will to know, and right around that is an aura of high energy vibrating light. We're taking Christianity, we're taking Zen Buddhism, we're putting together. Okay, so let's move on. This is a map pointing to the treasure that is called the truth within us. And then later on, we will discover how this truth will liberate us, will set us free. Right outside of this aura of light is the human nature. Okay, this is our true nature, our God nature, our Buddha nature. Right outside of it is the human nature. And the human nature has the following element to it. We have reception. Okay. We have expression. over here we have imagination. Okay. And over here we have cognition. In our true nature of hearing, we are always already hearing. When that hearing expresses itself as human nature, we call it reception. We take things in. We have the already always seeing. When that seeing expresses itself in the human nature, it becomes our imagination. We see things. We begin to see things. When the already always speaking expresses itself, it becomes expression. God spoke. Okay, we speak, we think. We think in words. Some people don't have words, they think in images. The primitive knowledge, the already always knowing, when it expresses itself into the human nature, it becomes cognition. Okay, the word cognition relates to knowledge. It is accumulation. We accumulate knowledge, cognition. Earlier on, we mentioned cognitive therapy, changing our cognition. Okay, changing our cognition, changing the stuff that is deep within us, will ultimately change our behavior and our reality outside. Okay, so those are the very basic part of the human nature, very close to the true nature. Right outside of that, human beings, we have certain basic needs. We have the needs for resources. Okay, nowadays, resources can be in the form of material resources or power and influence. Okay, or ability. Resources are the things that we use in order to get what we want, basically, until they are depleted, and then we have to replenish it. We need food and water when we're a baby. As we get older, we need money. And as we become more influential, we need power. Okay, those are resources. Human being, we have a certain need for appearance. Appearance has to do with the way we look. Early on, we did an interaction about why we wear certain clothes, why we wear our hair a certain way, why we wear earrings. We have a very particular need for appearance, a bodily appearance. Some people don't really care so much about the physical bodily appearance, but they're very interested in the appearance of their spatial surrounding. The room has to look a certain way. The furniture has to be arranged a certain way. They're very particular about how to arrange the desk. Right now, I have a particular way about the way I arrange my computer screen. I'm sitting right here. I have a laptop in front of me. I have two lights to make sure I have enough light on the sharing, enough light on my face. I see my own sharing screen on the left side. I see me and all the participants in the middle, and I leave a chat window on this side of the screen. And above that, I have an additional monitor that I check up my note. That is my appearance, of the way of my spatial surrounding. Human being, we have these basic needs for appearance. Okay, next one. Human beings, we have the nature of identity. Okay, identity. It's a sense of who we are, our ego. A person's most favorite word is their name. our identity, we're very attached to identity. Okay, when people criticize our identity, we tend to get angry. Okay, different part about our human natures, it's gonna start to come up. How we relate to each other is all about identity. How close we are to another person is our sense of identity with respect to them, who they are. Somebody could begin as a friend, will become a spouse, and eventually may become enemies in some very unfortunate cases. Okay, it is all a sense of identity. And the more attached we are to a sense of identity, usually the more suffering that we experience. Okay, anyway, resources, appearance, identity. We have the basic need for consumption. Okay, we consume food and water, but we also consume ideas. We consume news. We consume emotional energy. A human being can feed on each other's positive or negative energy. A person who's happy, we consume that, positive energy. Some people consume negative energy. They become more angry. Essentially, whatever we consume, we become more like it. We eat a lot of protein, we have, more protein in our body. If we consume a lot of negativity, we're going to become a negative person. We have a basic need for consumption. Okay, eating is one, drinking is another, but we also consume ideas, news, the media. And finally, our basic needs as a human being, we need to, still trying to find a good word, but for now, let's use the word rest. Okay, rest. Rest, relaxation, recharge. We need to reset. There is a basic need to reset. We like to go on vacation. We like to sleep. The sleeping and the vacation, all of that help the human body, help the human nature reset. We re-energize, recharge. Not only do we recharge by consuming, we eat food and stuff, but somehow we need to recharge simply by resting, by doing nothing. Being lazy is a form of human nature relating to rest. Okay. We are studying the map of human nature, and the map points us to the treasure within. There is, we'll talk about the energy aspect of this later. Okay, so, so right outside of our basic needs, we have the personality, the ego personality, which is made up of, let me check because I have researched some new vocabulary. Okay, make sure I get this right. We have desire. Okay, human beings, we have desire. We always want things. We are attached to things. We have something called temperament. In the past sharing, I used the word anger, but the anger is already negative, and I'm trying to use a neutral word because in a little bit I will explain the positive and negative polarity of these nature. So it is temperament. Yeah, temperament. Ever hear somebody have a hot temper? Yeah, the word temper, hot temper, hot temperament. They tend to get angry. Okay, anger related to anger, desire, temperament, tendency. We have perception. Okay, we have perception. In the past, I used the word ignorance, I think, but it's really perception. It is the nature of perception. We perceive things. And we'll talk about the positive and negative polarity of these nature later. Tham sân si mạng, we have pride. Okay, we have pride. Okay, we have pride. We have discernment. Okay, in the past I used the word skepticism, but let's go with the discernment to see if it makes more sense. Discernment. It has to do with doubt and trust. Okay, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Tham sân si mạng nghi. We have ethic. Okay, good and evil, that's ethic. And then finally we have judgment. A nature of judgment, we judge, we prejudge, for example. Okay, judgment. Okay, and this human nature, this personality, is wrapped up in a polarizing positive and negative electromagnetic field. We represent it by positive and negative wavy lines. And it doesn't have to be perfect because our personality fluctuates. Our nature fluctuates. It is never consistent. We could be one way one day and another way another day. Okay. There's an electromagnetic energy field wrapping around these human nature, this personality. Right outside of this personality, we have what's called the emotion. The Buddhists call it 84,000 bubbles right? Bubbles of illusion. In other words, our emotion, I'll draw a bunch of bubbles. They kind of well up as bubbles. Some bubbles are big, some bubbles are small, some are incomplete, and they kind of go away. Okay, we'll draw a bunch of bubbles. Our emotions are represented by 84,000 bubbles of emotion. The Buddha said there's 84,000 emotion. Somebody tried to do an experiment and they were able to somehow identify some 30,000 different emotion that a human being could experience. Okay, our emotion. 84,000 bubbles of illusion. And right next to our emotion is our four-element body. Okay, 4-element body. Represented by the element of earth, water, air, and fire. Earth is the physical stuff, the nutrients. Our cells are made of the elements of the earth. Carbon, okay, nitrogen, that's from dirt. Okay, when we die, our body breaks down, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Our 4-element body is made up of the four, what the Buddhists call 4-element. Earth, obviously we have water. 70% of a human body is made of water, H2O. We have air, we have oxygen, we have nitrogen, we have carbon dioxide, we have methane. From an Eastern perspective, air also corresponds to energy. Okay, energy flow. If you can control the air flow, you can control your energy flow. And one of these days, very soon, I will try to translate the internal body transformation exercise, and if hopefully I can initiate some exercise time for us to strengthen our body by maximizing our airflow within the body. Okay, and we have fire, which represents our thermal energy, the body energy. Okay, we're always at 98.6 degree Fahrenheit, okay, which is what, 37 degrees Celsius or something like that. Our emotion is closely tied to our body. Why? Because we feel our emotion in our body. As I said before, a person who is very depressed for a very long time, emotionally depressed, eventually they will experience bodily damage. Okay, the heart will get damaged, the other organ will get damaged. A person who experiences a lot of emotional stress, they will get bodily damage over time. People who experience a lot of anger and resentment, they'll get stomach ulcer. People who resent themselves will oftentimes manifest cancer, because cancer is our own body that is fighting against us. Or people who don't accept themselves oftentimes will find themselves experiencing some kind of autoimmune disorder. It is our body fighting against itself. It is because our emotion is tied to our body. Okay, we can feel it in our body, and our emotion and our body is also wrapped up in a polarizing field of positive and negative energy polarity. And the benefit to using this map is not only can we find the way to the treasure within, which is the truth within us that will liberate us and set us free, we can also take ownership of our human nature, our personality. The marketing world is very good at manipulating our human nature. They can, how do you say, stimulate our desire, cause us to buy things. Politician is very good at stimulating our human nature. They work on our temperance, whether our anger or our satisfaction. Okay. Earlier, remember we said the process of non-materializing ourselves. The marketing world works on our human nature, our desire for resources, our desire for appearance, our desire for identity and consumption and rest. They manipulate that in order to take control of our behavior and action. They are actually controlling our awareness. Okay, And in fact, there's a statement about this human nature. Let me see if I have it. I want to make sure I get it. Do I have it? It has to do with the central point of okay. I don't have it. Okay, but I'll just write it. Okay. The focus of human nature is that one, that's color. Desire and imagination. While we have different nature within us, it is desire and imagination that seem to be operating all the time. The focus of human nature is desire and imagination. Period.
Give me one example.
Watch, hang on, watch this. Let me write the definition and then you see.
Okay.
Let me write the definition. Desire and imagination trọng điểm của tám người là tham và tưởng về tài sắc danh thực thì để quyết định. Yeah, okay. The focus of human nature is desire and imagination. Desire and imagination about resources, appearances, identity, consumption, and rest. Okay, desire and imagination about resources, appearances, identity, consumption, and rest will determine the degree and polarity of temperance, temperance A and CE, perception, don't see, pride, discernment. Once I give the example, you will see it more clearly. But it's important to get this statement down, because once you master the statement, you master your own inner being, and you can master, our interaction with other people. Discernment and ethic. Okay, so Desire and imagination about resources, appearances, identity, consumption, rest will determine the degree and polarity of temperance, perception, pride, discernment, and ethic. And determine what okay, what, how do you say, will determine, just gonna say determine instead of what, just gonna say reception, gonna go straight to the reception. It will determine reception, expression, and cognition. Okay, long statement, many ideas into it, but very powerful tool once you get it. Okay, the focus of human nature is desire and imagination. I'm just gonna kind of underline it real quick. Okay, desire and imagination. Desire and imagination about resources, which is money and power, appearances, the way we look, identity, consumption, and rest. Our desire and imagination about this green thing will decide the degree of and the polarity of temperance, perception, pride, discernment, ethic, and judgment. And with that polarity, it will decide what we choose to receive, reception, how we express ourselves, expression, and what we choose to know, cognition. Okay, did I get it? The focus of human nature is desire and imagination. We are always wanting and we are always thinking and imagining things. And those things that we want is a combination of resources, appearance, identity, consumption, and rest. We don't really want anything else because everything in the world is built on those. Everything in the world, all the needs and want in humanity is surrounded by those 5 things. We want a car. Well, why do we want a car? Is it because it makes us look good, appearance? It gives us a sense of identity. We want to be associated with rich people. It's a resources that we use to drive. Okay, it gives us a sense of rest so that we don't have to walk and waste our energy. Okay, that is an example of our desire and imagination for a car. When we want to get married, it is our desire to have certain kind of a sense of identity, for instance. Okay, we want to be taken care of by our spouse, our need for resources. Okay, when we desire for health, for example, good health will give us the ability to look good. It allows us to associate ourselves with a certain type of people. And when we have the imagination about health, we will consume things that is related to health, right? Nutrition, or maybe books and ideas relating to health. So it is our desire and imagination for these green things that will determine the direction and degree of these other blue things. And that will decide how we receive things, our reception, how we express ourselves, and what we choose to know. And let's go over the polarity so that it'll make it even more clear. Okay, you will see how our desire and imagination.
Can you leave that for a minute?
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. Which one? This one? This one?
Yes, that one.
Yeah.
Determine reception.
Reception. Yeah. See.
Reception, expression, and cognition.
Cognition. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Reception.
Let me map out the other
Hmm.
personality, and then you see right away what I mean when I say desire and imagination will determine those other ones.
Mhm.
So let's use another piece of paper. We're gonna say this is human nature. I'm gonna say polarity of human nature. Okay, polarity. It also means energy. Okay, we will learn about the energy of human nature, polarity of human nature. So we have this desire. Okay, we have temperament. We have perception. We have pride. We have discernment. And we have ethic. We have judgment. Okay. These are the human nature. These human nature are wrapped up in a positive and negative polarity energy field. So we're going to do it this way. Let me make sure I get it right. Okay. On the positive end, okay, and we have a negative end. Energy, electromagnetic energy, representing positive and polarity of human nature. With desire, everybody has desire. It's fine to have desire. But here's the thing. When all you desire is for yourself, we call that negative, right? When our desire is just for ourselves, that's negative. We call that selfishness. Okay? Selfishness. But if we desire for other people, we want to help them, for instance, then it becomes altruism. Both desire. But the people who desire to accumulate for themselves, we call those people selfish. It is negative. We don't like those people. But people who desire for other people, they give to charity, they want to help. They want to make the world a better place. Each of us have some children or family member that we want to help. Then we are altruistic. The word altruism, trui is a Latin word for self. Alt as in alternative, right? Other self. When we think about other self, other people, then we are altruistic. It is altruism. When we think about the self, ourself only, right? Selfishness. So desire has positive and negative polarity. Okay. And we have a combination of both. Some people can be very selfish toward in some degree, and then very altruist with respect to other people. We have temperament. Okay, temperament from a negative polarity. Temperament is anger, wrath. Okay, I'm just going to say anger. Somebody has hot temper, right? We know that hot temper. That child's temperament tend to be anger. That is negative. If our temperament is positive, then we are a person who is generally satisfied. So dissatisfaction. Okay, our temperament, when it's positive, it's satisfaction. When our temperament is negative, we become angry. When it comes to our perception, when our perception is negative, we experience what's called delusion. We perceive things that is generally not right. If our perception is positive in the polarity, then we get clarity. Now, if our perception is colored, then what we see is unclear. It is delusion. But if our perception is clear, if we remove the lenses from our eyes, we have wisdom, for instance, then we see clearly. That is a positive polarity of perception. Human beings, we have pride. It's okay to have pride, but a negative polarity of pride is, what is it? Negative polarity of pride is arrogant. Okay? Notice that when a person is too prideful, too arrogant, nobody likes them. It is negative. If we have pride and the pride is generally positive, it's called humility. We have a nature called discernment. Okay, discernment. It has to do with knowledge and belief. A person who is very negative in discernment is doubtful of everything. They don't believe anything. They cannot discern anything. But a person who swing over to positive spectrum of discernment is trusting or trust. Some 20 years ago, I went through a process of spiritual discernment in order to determine if I wanted to become a priest. Okay? It is a process of discernment to see if I have enough faith in God to become a priest. Discernment has to do with doubt and trust. And we have the nature of ethic. Evil. If we are negative in terms of ethic, we're evil or cruel. Okay? If we are positive in ethic, we're considered good. Okay? Or we can use the word benevolent. Okay? Let's use benevolent. Benevolence. And this is cruelty. C-R-U-E-L-T-Y. Cruelty. Here is the purple. Okay. Anyway, judgment. A person who is very negative when it comes to the polarity of judgment is a person who is very obstinate, unwilling to change their judgment and perspective. Okay, obstinate. A person who is positive in the positive on the scale of judgment is open-mindedness. Okay. And that's it. That's human nature. If you go to school and you take psychology, you could learn thousands and thousands of behavioral problem and psychological illnesses, and you may still never understand human nature. All you understand is problems. But the Buddhists give us a very simple map of human nature: desire, temperament, perception, pride, discernment, ethic, and judgment. And the combination of these things make up our personality, make up our psychology. Some people can be very selfish, but at the same time, very trusting. Some people can have a temperament of anger, but they're at the same time very altruistic. Some people can be arrogant, but they at the same time can be very, very benevolent. Some people can be very obstinate in judgment, yet very satisfied in certain aspect of life. It is the combination in any other personality or psychology that we encounter. We can sit down and we say, okay, yeah, okay, that's part of his desire, that's his temperament, that's her perception, that's her pride at work, and different degree of different human nature give rise to what we know as our personality. Our ego personality, our ego, okay? This is what makes up who we are as we know it. And so we go back to this statement. The focus of human nature is desire and imagination. Desire and imagination, which is the inside here. The next part, desire and imagination about the resources, appearance, identity, consumption, and rest will determine the degree and polarity of everything else: temperament, perception, pride, discernment, ethic, and judgment. For example, a person who desire, let's say you're on your way home from work. Okay, you're on your way home from work. It's been a long day. We're tired. We're hungry, and we initiate a desire for dinner. We desire resource, food, right? Our desire for resource, food. We initiate the desire for food. But when we get home and we see no dinner, some of our other nature is going to be activated. For some of us, seeing no dinner will cause us to get very angry. Our temperament just go negative, right? And immediately we may begin to doubt the trustworthiness of our spouse who is supposed to make dinner. And we may begin to say or do things that can be cruel to the person who we perceive to should have been making dinner, right? Simply because we have the desire for food that was not met. Usually when a desire goes negative, it'll cause some of the other nature to go negative. Okay. Let's say we have desire for beauty, appearance. Okay, we are interested in an appearance. We have it's a kind of person who is strongly desirous of appearance. And some people comment us on how good we look. We have a strong desire for appearance, and someone comment us on our good look. Then that will initiate our temperament of satisfaction. Okay, somebody has just complimented me. But at the same time, if somebody compliments us too much, we may become arrogant. Too much compliment, we may become arrogant. We may trust the person who complimented us, right? We may end up becoming very benevolent and good toward the person who has complimented us. But as a result, we may become obstinate in our idea about appearance. Somebody compliment us that, let's say short hair is short hair looks good on you, Frank. And then I develop a judgment that short hair is the best way to go about it. Did you get that, Morgan? Are you still on the camera? On the microphone? So that is a simple explanation of how human nature work.
I'm listening.
You get it? Did you get that now?
Yeah.
And then once these human nature is activated, it decides the other one. It decides the reception, the expression, and the cognition. It decides how we receive things, our reception. Like for example, let's say the desire of the appearance, right? We have a desire for appearance, and somebody complimented us. We are the kind of person who would want to receive or hear more compliment. We would not receive negative comment. We begin to choose how we hear and how we see things. We have imagination about looking good, and we will express it. If somebody complimented us in a way that we enjoy, then we express our gratitude. If somebody, on the other hand, criticize the way we look, and we are the kind of person who has very strong desire for appearance, then we may express ourselves negatively. We may insult them back. And that also decides what we know, our cognition. If somebody say that you look good, then that becomes a part of our cognition, of our knowledge. Oh, okay, I'm a person who looks good. I'm a beautiful person. It is how human nature works. It is desire and imagination that decide all the other nature, decide how we will receive, how will we express, and how do we know. And of course, when this personality is initiated, it affects our emotion. We go positive and we go negative. Okay? Anger, judgment, temperament has anger. Anger carries a strong negative emotion. The negative emotion is connected to our body. It will bring our body negative as well.
Mhm.
And so if you remember the formula, I'll just rewrite it. The law of causality, law of cause and effect. I'll rewrite it, okay? Cause and effect. And effect. The inner seed will give the outcome of the fruit. Okay? And we also have the affinity here. We'll talk about that later. If our inner seed, right, if our temperament is negative, if our perception, our pride, our discernment, our ethic, our judgment, our desire is all negative, then guess what? Our fruit is going to be negative in life. That's causality. If we are a person who is angry, resentful, deluded, highly arrogant, highly doubting, cruel, obstinate, if we as a human being, if we allow our seed of our inner seed, in terms of the human construct, if we allow our seed to take on a lot of negativity, then guess what? Our outer reality is going to also be negative. But if we wisely choose to switch our human nature to go positive more often, when we desire, instead of desiring for ourselves and be negative, learn to desire for other people, be altruistic. In terms of our temperament, instead of being anger, learn to be satisfied with the way things are. With our perception, instead of allowing the illusion to cloud our perception, become clear. Learn humility, become trusting, become benevolent, become open-minded. And if our seed is planted inside this positive polarity, then guess what? The outcome in life will also be positive. Is that pretty simple to do? All right. So that's
As long as emotional, not affect us, maybe it's easy to say
good point.
as a human being, right?
Yeah, human nature. That's a problem, huh? The problem is we have emotion, we have personality, we have all of this nature that is constantly fluctuating within this positive and negative electromagnetic energy field. And as long as they're fluctuating, we will not experience peace. Yeah, we will not experience peace. As long as we look to our desire for happiness and we have imagination for happiness, we may be lucky. We'll talk about luck and fortune later, blessings and later. We may be lucky to experience the kind of circumstance that will give us momentary peace or momentary happiness. But it's fleeting. It is not stable. It is not enduring. Because it is stuff that is outside. The more we look outside, in fact, a lot of people exist in the emotional part. They can't even know what's going on in their head. They don't even realize what they're thinking. But here, the map at least gives us, landmarks that we can see and recognize if and when we traverse our human nature. The next time we get angry, we notice that, oh, you know what? Human beings, we have this temperament. And I am being in the temperament that is negative. At least I know where I am. If you know where you are, then you can consciously change direction. Our choices in life bring about the outcome in life. If we are very prideful and we get very arrogant, and we've noticed, and people, react negative toward us, then we know, oh, I'm being negative with respect to my prideful nature. So let's see if I can work on my pride and go positive instead. So the map of human construct, a map of human nature, are the landmark that help us see where we are. And when we can recognize where we are, then we can find a better way. If where we are is darkness. Before we look at this map, we don't even know that we have these things. It's like being thrown in a foreign country with no map. We're totally lost, right? We can walk round and round and round in a circle all day and we would be lost and we'd never know where to go. But at least with a map, we know, oh, okay, I'm here. I need to get there. These are the ways I need to go. We use the human construct as a map to navigate the human nature. Okay, and then let's say we I think do we need to take a break before because the main point is this stuff inside. The main point is this stuff, the truth within us. The map points to this one. Okay, let's see. Do we need a break before we talk about the truth within us? That would liberate us, or are we okay to move on right now? What do you guys think?
Take
Thank
a
you.
break.
Huh?
Take a break.
Let's take a break. Okay.
Was wondering, will you be finished around 7 o'clock or 6:30?
I don't know. What do you want?
We
I'll let
have
you go.
we have an important meeting around 6:30. So
6:30. Okay. It is now 5:15. if we take a 15-minute break, I think we can finish the final interaction by 6:30. Okay,
Thank you.
good plan. All right. See you
Thank you.
Okay, see you at 5:30.
And then yes, you can turn off your
All righty. Thank you. Thank
YouTube.
you. All right. Stop record.
Pause.
We'll
And then-
record.